We've got umbrellas for shade if you want an umbrella for shade, because it is a toasty evening out here, but we are so grateful that you're here. My name's Dan. I'm with Vote Common Good, and we're going to sing an old protest song from the 60s that is still strangely and unfortunately relevant today. It goes like this. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 10,000 people in the streets, singing songs and carrying signs. They mostly say hooray for our side. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you on this beautiful day out here at Farrat Park. We're Vote Common Good. My name is Doug, and we're traveling around the country, friends, because we believe that there's a call for people of faith, people of hope, and people of love to support democracy for all. Now, I never would have thought that I'd have to take my life and training as an evangelical pastor to travel around the country and ask religious voters and non-religious voters to care about democracy and to keep it out of the hands of the people that want to lead insurrections and want to diminish what it means to vote in this country. So we're glad you're here. Now, we're here for Tamie. We're here for Tamie Wilson because we know that Jim Jordan's got to go. Now, look. Look, I got to be a little careful here. I'm a person of good faith. I think I'm a kind person. I actually believe the teachings of Jesus, and Jesus tells me that every person is a beloved child of God. Can I get an amen on that? Amen. I think Jesus meant everybody when he said, you're the salt of the earth, the light of the world. Old Jim Jordan, beloved child of God, salt of the earth, light of the world, but that man should take his dim little light and let it shine somewhere else, because not every light of the world should be a congressperson in the United States House of Representatives, right? Now, sometimes that's just political. Sometimes we're just out saying stuff because it's red versus blue, blue versus red, progressives versus conservatives. And sometimes it's people who are held in contempt of Congress because they won't tell the truth about what they did on January 6th when a bunch of people tried to overrun the Capitol. And that's what's on the ballot. Every ballot we've ever cast, we've been able to cast because of democracy. But not on every ballot has democracy been the thing that we're having to choose. And that's the case in this election. But we're not here, frankly, to tell you how bad Jim Jordan is. We're not here to tell you how corrupt the Republican Party has become. And I've got a confession to make to you. I voted for Republicans in the past. I voted for Republicans and thought they had the best interests of the country in mind. But on this day, looking at this election, that doesn't seem entirely clear to me at all. What seems clear to me is there's a bunch of people who've had to say, I take the Fifth Amendment or I will stand in contempt of Congress when you ask them if they want to support free and fair elections in this country. So that's what's going on. Now, why do we spend our time traveling around the country? Why do we spend our time as people that are former worship leaders and pastors traveling around talking to faith people and people of common good conscience? Well, it's because when we pull up in this bus that says faith, hope, and love on it, most people look at it and the first thing they think is if it has to do with politics, then we're for the Republicans. We were in Green Bay and had a great experience. A man came walking across the parking lot, started yelling, "My man," to me. He was so excited as we were setting up. And as he got closer, he looked at the rest of the bus and he saw supporting democracy for all. And he said, "Oh, you're probably supporting Republicans. I thought you were on the Christian side." Somehow he saw faith, hope, and love and thought that was owned by the Republicans. Somehow he saw people who thought their faith mattered and that was only going to fall on one side of the political aisle. So we're out here because we want to remind all of us that nobody owns our faith. We tell our religious, conservative friends, nobody owns your vote. No matter what your pastor tells you, no matter what a political candidate tells you, when you step into that voting booth, that's you and your conscience and your God and that ballot. And you can cast that ballot for the person that you think cares about this country. So we have a whole category you're going to hear about candidates for common good, and that's what we're doing out here. We're inviting people to know and to share a story about what it could mean if the common good was your voting criteria. Not just your R or your D, not just your blue or your red, but you said to yourself and to your friends and your family, I care about the common good. And maybe it's going to, at times, fall on different political parties, but in this election, it feels pretty clear what's at stake. Now, a bunch of us are really excited about people running at the top of the ticket for the Democrats. I got to tell you, I'm thrilled about it. I think there's a woman movement in this country. I think people like Kamala Harris. I think people like Tamie Wilson. I think people like Gretchen Whitmer. I think people running all over Congress. We were just at these great events in Milwaukee. They have Women Win Wisconsin. Women candidates running all over the place. It's time for that in this country. And it's time for all of us. It's time for men and women alike to come together for a common good movement in our politics. And that's what we're doing here. And we're so thrilled to be a part of this because as goes Ohio, so is going to go the country. So we want you to have to look up here and see resisting insurrections for a more perfect union. Who would ever think you'd have to travel around the country and say you don't stand for an insurrection? You're going to have to look right through the American flag and through an Ohio flag to be able to see it, and we love that imagery. So when you step into that ballot box on November 5th or any day before it, have January 6th on your mind. And when you have January 6th on your mind, you ask yourself if you want to have Tamie Wilson in office or if you want to have Jim Jordan in office. And let your conscience be your guide. Now, we're going to have you enjoy a little bit of music because too much talking just does none of us any good. So Joel is now with us. And some of you are saying, I don't even know you people. You're all new to me. You're strangers from out of town. Well, that's true. Well, we just hooked up with Joel on this tour yesterday. Drove down from New York, met us in Pennsylvania. We started this morning in Pennsylvania, by the way. We started this morning. We were going to be here an hour and a half ago, but the big rearview mirror on that bus fell right off the bus as we're driving down the highway. We had to stop. We had to drill it out. We had to put a bolt in because sometimes things break. And when they break, you fix them. And if our democracy and our country breaks, you fix it. Sometimes we think you fix it with a little faith, hope, and love and a whole lot of music. So Joel drove down. His family dropped him off. He's traveling with us. You're going to hear from Clay in a minute. Clay, we just met 10 minutes ago. Clay's pulling up. Beth here, we met over in North Carolina, and she lives in New Mexico and in California, and has joined us for today, just pulled up. you all are here, so we're all a part of something, putting together a new groups of people that are coming together for the first time to make something magical happen. So would you tell Joel you appreciate him being with us? Would you slap those hands onto each other and tell him you appreciate him?
Thank you. You're so kind. Well, this is awesome. I'm from a town about this size. This is my jam right here. I'm from Eastern Washington, and I live in Syracuse, New York now, with my family. And grew up in a farming kind of community, a city of about 40,000 people, and this feels like home. I'm gonna do a tune to kind of wake up everybody. See if maybe we get some folks over here. This is called Dead Man Walking. I am a dead man walking. I am a dead man walking on this road. On this road, yeah. This life that I've been living, this life that I've been living is not my own. No, it's not my own. No, no. Well, I remember when the burdens rolled away. I remember when the burdens rolled away. I had carried them for years, night and day. I remember when the burdens rolled away. I am a dead man walking. I am a dead man walking on this road. On this road, yeah. This life that I've been living, this life that I've been living is not my own. It's not my own, no, no. Well, I remember when the burdens rolled away. I remember when the burdens rolled away. I had carried them for years, night and day. Oh, I remember when the burdens rolled away. Freedom, he cried, and freedom he wrote. Well, the chains that were strong cannot shackle my soul. You can take what I have, you can threaten my life, but I'll not be turning aside. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of a brave midnight ride on a sweet midnight clear. Well, I told you this once, I'll not tell you again, that I'll not be turning aside. I am a dead man walking. I am a dead man walking on this road. On this road. This life that I've been living, this life that I've been living is not my own. No, it's not my own. Well, I remember when the burdens rolled away. I remember when the burdens rolled away. I had carried them for years, night and day. I remember when the burdens rolled away.
Thank you, Joel. Hey, everybody. My name's Rob. I'm a pastor from Arkansas, and really excited to be with you all this evening. You know, as we travel around the country with Vote Common Good, one of the things that we do, as Doug mentioned, is that we ask voters to use the common good as their voting criteria. What we mean by that is that people shouldn't necessarily vote just reflexively based on the political party that they're a part of, shouldn't vote reflexively based on the way their parents voted, shouldn't vote reflexively based on the way their pastor or somebody else in their life told them to. They ought to think about what actually might be best for not just me, but for my neighbors as well. We think the idea that loving your neighbor as yourself is something that you do in the voting booth too. And so as we travel around the country asking voters to use the common good as their voting criteria, we also ask people who are running for office to use the common good as their governing criteria should they be elected. Now, it's kind of crazy to have to do that, right? It's kind of crazy to have to ask public servants to actually serve the public in doing their job. It's kind of crazy to have to ask someone who's running to be a representative to actually represent all of the people in their district. Sometimes I just want to pull my hair out because representative is actually the job title. And yet we have to ask them over and over and over again to do that. Because we've got far too many people in Washington, D.C., far too many people in Columbus, far too many people in the House of Representatives like Jim Jordan, who seem like they're actually serving, I don't know, the wealthiest among us rather than everybody. Maybe they're serving their big corporate donors rather than everybody. Maybe they're serving the lobbyists that help support them and get them into office rather than everybody. Maybe they're serving the party bosses rather than everybody. So we ask people like that are running for office, will you use the common good as your governing criteria? Will you do what's best for everybody when you get into office? Now, that doesn't mean we always agree on all the issues, because there's no way we're going to do that, right? But it means that, hey, at the very least, we know that this is someone who's looking out for all of us. You know who has kind of raised their hand and said, yeah, I'll use the common good as my governing criteria when I get to Washington, D.C.? My friend Tamie Wilson has. And that's why she is a much better choice than Jim Jordan, or as I like to call him, jacketless Jim Jordan. Just, dude, put on a jacket. Tamie, come on up here and tell us about why you want to be the next representative here from the wonderful state of Ohio. Help me welcome Tamie Wilson, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello. OH. Hi-yo. Come on, do better than that. OH. Hi-yo. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. I'm just so appreciative. I love Lima. I love you guys. This reminds me so much of growing up. I used to spend the summers and holidays in the country at my grandma's, and I remember working on my uncle's farm and everything. So driving through all of the farmland here just makes me feel right at home. I love it. I am running for office because I care about everybody, all people. The man that I am running against, my opponent, he claims to be a patriot, but he votes against the veterans. He voted against the Veteran PACT Act. The Veteran PACT Act is going to provide benefits and healthcare services for our veterans who've been exposed to the toxic chemicals from the burn pits. He voted against that, but yet he claims to be a patriot. He says, Happy Veterans Day, thank you for your service, but then he votes against them. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I do support our veterans. I will always vote in the best interest of our veterans to support them. I believe that we need to protect all citizens. We need to empower people. My vision for America is to live up to that dream that Dr. Martin Luther King mentioned. I want to help bring our country to the promise that our forefathers wrote in the Constitution and in the Declaration of Independence. It is so important to me to represent everyone. My opponent, however, he voted against violence against women. Who votes against violence against women? I mean, that absolutely makes no sense to me. He voted against more than 5 farm bills. Lima, our district, it's a very rural district. We have a lot of farmers in our district. We also have a lot of poverty in our district. Over 10% of our district is living at the poverty level. Jordan voted against the free lunch program for children. Who can claim that they are pro-life, but then they vote against what's in the best interest to feed children? A lot of our children go to school hungry. That is sometimes their only meal that they get, every day. When I ran a child's camp last year, I know this very well because I ran this child's camp and I provided lunch for all of the kids. On the days that I had this camp for 2 weeks, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was a lot of fun. But for 3 days, we actually went to the local school and we got the lunch at the local school. Well, they quit serving lunch this year. But last year, I remember going there when I would take the kids, and there were a lot of families there. There were families there for the free food. I mean, these are things that lay on my heart heavy every single day, all day, every day. Over 70% of the district are made of independents. Women make over 50% of our population, but yet we only have 24% in the Senate, 26 at the House, and 30 at state and local government. Ladies, I'm encouraging you to please get more involved in politics. Our voices need to be heard. I love you guys, but I'm sure that none of you wake up and say, "Oh, what can I do for women today?" No man is going to say that like a woman will. Am I right? We still have pay inequity. We still have healthcare inequity. We still have, as a small business owner, I can tell you that we still have challenges as women small business owners. I can tell you that during COVID, I had to shut my business down. I lost a lot of money, and there was nothing for me. Here I am, a single mom. At that time, my teenage son was living at home, and whoever has ever had a teenage boy in the house, you know that they are a bottomless pit. And so, I was worried, what am I going to do? There's nothing for me. So I realized at that moment just how far removed our government is from the everyday American. And so that really angered me. And then I watched George Floyd get murdered on TV, and people acted like it was just nothing. He deserved it. Oh, what did he do? And then all of this mis and disinformation came out about his record. And so people were like, well, he deserved it. And I can't even fathom people, especially Christians, and I'm saying Christians would say these things, and I just could not understand why that they would feel that someone deserved to be murdered. I mean, it just, blows my mind. So I am here. I want you to know that I care about every single one of you. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your socioeconomic stance is. I don't care, what your educational background is. I care about every single person, and I want to represent you in our Washington and in the U.S. House of Representatives and Congress. I will work very hard. I'm already writing 9 bills. My opponent has been there 17 years. He has made $3 million. He has not passed one bill, not one. Let me ask you, who here could work somewhere for 17 years, get paid $3 million, and never do your job? Anyone? Okay, I didn't think so. Me either. So I'm just, people that like Jordan, then I have to say you like the show pony. I'm the workhorse. I'm the one that will get things done for you and your family. Okay. Jim Jordan was an assistant wrestling coach at OSU during the time that Dr. Strauss sexually abused close to 2,000 students, I believe is what the number is now. Jim Jordan was the assistant coach when 143 wrestlers were sexually abused by that doctor. Many students went to Jordan asking for his help, and he just turned his back on them. I wrote the bill, the Comprehensive Sexual Abuse Prevention and Accountability Act. I wrote the bill to prevent your children, your nieces, nephews, grandchildren from being sexually abused at educational institutions. That is the type of person that I am. I'm writing 9 bills right now. I've already been to DC to get my first bill introduced. I'm working with lawmakers right now to get the Senate to introduce my bill this year. George Clooney did a documentary on the OSU sexual abuse scandal. I highly encourage you to watch it when it comes out. It should be coming out in September or October. That'll be on HBO. If you have to, sign up for a week for free. Do whatever you need to do, but watch it. It's really good. It's going to be really good. I know it. But my name is Tamie Wilson. I'm running to be the U.S. representative for Ohio's 4th Congressional District. Please donate, volunteer, and support my campaign. Thank you.
Well, Tammy, we are glad to support your campaign because we feel like you're going to support the good people of the 4th District, the people of Ohio. Well, I get just all choked up thinking about it, Tammy. You being in Congress. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you running. Now, look, we need a new imagination in this country. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine a new imagination? I was with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and she made this great statement. She said, justice is prophetic fiction. Isn't that great? We have to imagine a world that doesn't exist yet and then live our way into it. Reimagining how we live with each other. Reimagining some of our core assumptions. That's what we have to do. We've been traveling around this country meeting with all kinds of people. And oftentimes there's rallies and events, and many times have we stood on sides of streets where there's a group of supporters of a candidate or an idea on one side, and people supporting the other candidate or the other idea on the other side of the street. We've moved back and forth across those streets all over the country. Oftentimes we hear people say this, I don't know who those people are. And I don't know if they hate me or want to hurt me. We need an imagination where we can disagree with each other about important issues, the way Tammy disagrees with Jim, and we need to debate those issues, we need to vote for people, but we have to be sure that we're not going to hurt each other. We have to be sure that our lawmakers are going to do what they can to protect, and we have to be sure that we're going to protect each other. We have to imagine each other differently. And as religious people, I'll tell you this, as a religious pastor, I know we have to imagine God differently. Because there's a lot of people who think God wants to hurt them. There's a lot of people who have been told that they need to fear God. There's been a lot of people who have been told that if you're on God's side and someone disagrees with you, then they're the enemy. But we know the story that we could imagine, the one that Jesus compels us into, the story where we say things like, when I look at you, I see hope, I see light, I see God. These are stories we want to tell each other. Now, on the far side of that bus, the other side, it says we're traveling around confronting Christian nationalism. That Christian nationalism, if you're unfamiliar with, is the idea that some people want the government to be on their side when it comes to religion and do their religious work from the government. We think that's a really bad idea. I think the government needs to take its ideas, needs to take its idea of what's good for all of us from all of our societies, and not just from Christians or from Jewish people or from Muslim people or from atheists, but from all of us. We can't have any of our religions driving our government. But as religious people, we should be talking to each other if you come from that tradition, and reminding each other of these stories of God in every way we can. So about a year and a half ago, my wife said to me, you got to listen to this song. She pulls up a song on Spotify. Said, you should listen to this. She's got tears in her eyes, crying about it. I turn on this song, I listen to it. I've got tears in my eyes by the end of it. And I'm like, who is this person writing this stuff? So I've got to hunt around all over the place and started hunting around. As we got this tour together, we hunt around. Oh, we found the guy who wrote that song. He's standing right back there. Played under the name Forrest Clay. Am I going to introduce you as Forrest Clay or as Clay? It's this song called Does God. And it struck me. Maybe it's going to strike you. It's beautiful, and it imagines a way of seeing and thinking about each other and a way of thinking about God that I think's got a whole lot of goodness. And Clay, thank you so much for being with us. A guy from right up the street, a person who's been in the district that Tammy's going to represent. Just
Yes.
wonderful. Thanks for being with
Well,
us.
thank you, Doug. You introduced my song better than I ever could. So just a little bit about me. I'm from Clyde, Ohio, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of near Fremont, right between Sandusky and Toledo. Jim Jordan used to be my rep. And you don't want that. You don't want that, ladies and gentlemen. I was raised very conservative evangelical, and after 2016, when the election happened, I started writing an album, and this song was part of the album, and much of this album is full of lament and sorrow, watching kind of the people that raised me and instilled morals in me kind of reject everything that they had told me and vote for someone who did not fit that criteria at all. And but after I got done complaining about all of that in the form of song, I wanted to write something hopeful. And even though my faith has evolved and changed a lot since then, the thing that sticks with me is that each and every person, each and everything with a heartbeat is an expression of the Creator. So I wrote this song, it's called Does God. Does God have a faith? Does he have a body or even a name? If he does he know that I'm alive? Is God even here? Does she care that I doubt? Does she care that I fear? Something tells me God will survive. So take a breath, breathe it in, the mystery that is this universe. We don't know, but I think the truth is, if God has a face, his face must look like yours. Did God kill his kid? Did he have to have blood before he would forgive? Or maybe we made a God that looks like us. Does God know my name? Is the ache in my soul just confined to my brain? Even so, does that mean that it's not real? So take a breath, breathe it in, the mystery that is this universe. We don't know, but I think the truth is, if God has a face, her face must look like yours. A face like a Tina, an Ahmed or Mildred, a Russ and his husband, Gus and their children. A face like a Kim, a Ted or Tyrone, a Lucy born with an extra chromosome, a Pablo with legs he can't move by himself, a girl born a Daniel who now is Danielle, a Bill Agent Yee, even white guys named Todd. If you have a heartbeat, you are the face of God. So take a breath, breathe it in, the mystery that is this universe. We don't know, but I think the truth is, if God has a face, her face must look. If God has a face, his face must look. If God has a face, their face it must be yours.
There are a lot of things you can say in the world. That's pretty good. We're going to see the face of God in each other. We're going to see each other. This bus has 25 words on this side. Maybe you're already counting them. If you're somebody like me, you see a bus like this with all these words. But there's 3 of those words I want to turn your attention to. We, the people. That was an imagination for a country to say, could we? Now, at the time, they said that we didn't involve all of us. At the time, they said some people could be owned by other people, and they were wrong. At that time, they said women who didn't marry to a man couldn't be involved in our democracy in the same way. Nowadays, we have people saying that if you don't have children, then you shouldn't have as many votes, power, as other people, a person from this very great state of Ohio. You need to make sure that man doesn't get anywhere near the power of vice presidency. J.D. Vance saying something like people without children shouldn't have the same ability to vote as people with them. That's ridiculous. This has been a We the People movement that we've been trying to make better as we go. And let's make sure that in 2024, there are more of the we doing the things of the people to get out and make things happen. This is a We the People movement. And here's what we need from all of us. We're doing everything we can. We have this little motto around our work that comes from my friend's grandma. My friend's grandma said to her, sweetie, when you live in a time of social turmoil, and who doesn't live in a time of social turmoil, you don't do nothing, you do something. Isn't that a great phrase? Do something, don't do nothing. Now, all of you are already something doers. You're showing up in parks, you're talking to people, you're waving at men and women and children as they walk by, you're supporting Tamie for office, but there's a lot of people who don't know what to do. So what we need to do is take a little bit of our faith, a little bit of our hope, a little bit of our love, a little bit of our, I've got an idea of something I could do, and break it off and give it to some friends and some families and some neighbors. Because the truth of it is, a whole lot of people are standing around saying to themselves, I don't know what to do. Have you heard that? Yes. That's right, I've heard it too. People are like, what more could I do? Could I give money? I'll give money, but what else could I do? So we've all got to come up with ideas. We whipped up our idea. Tamie came up with her idea. All of you came up with your ideas to get around this thing. We need more people involving more people and more ideas so that we the people can do some fresh things. So here's what we'd ask of you. When you find out of an idea that works for you, would you share it with us? Would you tell us about your idea? Follow Vote Common Good on the places where you follow it. I don't know, maybe you use Threads, or maybe you use that Twitter thing, or maybe you're on Facebook or Instagram, or maybe you use email or text messages. All those ways you can be in touch with us. Tell us about the good ideas that you find. And we'll do the same. Hop on votecommongood.com right now, sign up for our email list, or turn in a card over there to Tim. Tim will give you a shirt or a hat or something. We got this little thing where we say, we don't charge people for stuff. We say make a donation. Pick a first number, pick as many zeros as you want to put after it, and then give us some money. Maybe it's $1, or maybe it's $10, or $1 million. We're open to anything. We're people with flexibility. We'd take $1 million if you had it. And we'll give you a hat, or we'll give you something else. Put your name down over there, and we'll send you ideas that we have. We send them out in emails. And if you want a text message, But what I'm saying is, we're not just here to say hello. We're not just here to talk about love and then leave you. We're here because we want to be in a relationship. We'd love to stay in touch. We're coming back to this area. We're coming back to support Tamie on our way through. This isn't going to be our only event. We're not a little one-night stand kind of troop traveling around. There's going to be new people with us every time, so we'd love to see you again. So we'd love to stay in touch with you. And then we have one more request. This one's a big one, and some of you won't be able to do it, I know. This is a big one. Would you put your name on our bus? Would you grab one of those markers that are going to be hanging over by the door there and join all these other people and put your name on the bus? Because we want to take you with us. We want to take you on the road. We're going to be out now, and we're going to be out through November 5th, and we're traveling around. Every once in a while, we get to go home. And we all live in different places, in New York, in Arkansas. Tim is from Oregon. Dan lives in Michigan. I live in Minnesota. People live in New Mexico. And we're going to be in here with a whole bunch of people living all over the place. So when we see your name on there, it reminds us that there's a little We the People movement. And maybe you even want to write a little note. You can see some people write something. Some people make a little art. Some people make a little salutation. Would you write us a little note and leave it for us on the bus? We would sure love that.